There's an awful lot of platitudes being delivered about things being okay when they're absolutely not. I mean, we set up Menopause Mandate to campaign, and one of the things we do is offer a platform for women to talk about what their experience is. And we have been absolutely inundated with women who are suffering severely because of HRT shortages. It's an incredibly serious issue. You know, yes, there are women who go through menopause and don't suffer too badly and can manage it on their own or choose not to take HRT. But for an awful lot of women, HRT is actually a lifeline. The fact that it's been so deprioritized is really, really frustrating. Ultimately, I think it all speaks to a sort of general lack of understanding about women's biological journey, which is completely different from men's. And that's neither a bad thing or a good thing. It just means that we're different. And yet there's been no consideration at all for that different physiognomy and for all of the different things that impact on women.
Now more than ever, it is being talked about. There are documentaries, you've done one of them yourself, there are podcasts, there are books, you've also written one of those. But yet, you know, the government is still dragging its feet. So why something that's being talked about more than ever, you know, is there still so much inaction? I
think that the government really is meno-washing. I think that's what they're doing. And there's an awful lot of companies out there doing it as well, because as you say, there's a lot of talk about it, there's a lot of buzz around it, you know, it's the word that they all want to be seen to be supporting. But at the same time, the action that's being taken is very, very minimal. I mean, I go and talk to companies about menopause and about menopause policy, and I often find myself, you know, popping into the ladies afterwards, because it'll have been an hour-long session or something, and, you know, women will burst out of the toilet cubicles going, I can't bear it, they're so hypocritical, they're not doing any of the things that they say that they're supposedly doing. And I'm afraid that the government is doing exactly the same thing, and I don't think it's taking seriously any of the issues around women's health. It's not just menopause. We need a seismic shift in the workplace. We need a woman-shaped space created, and until that's done, we're basically throwing money away with all these amazing women at the peak of their professional abilities, you know, migrating from the workforce because they don't know what to do about the fact that they're going through a very liminal phase, a transitional phase, that they will emerge from feeling better, but while they're feeling shocking, they aren't getting any support.
If this issue is taken more seriously in workplaces and, for example, women are given more time off when experiencing these symptoms, do you fear that companies may then be beholden to, you know, hiring other people instead of women, hiring men, for example, because they don't want to have to adhere to all of these different rules and regulations around this in the same way that they do perhaps with women who are pregnant?
Yes, I'm sure if companies could employ men and that would, you know, keep the world rolling on, that would be a fine thing. But that's just not the case. You know, women are absolutely imperative as a part of the workforce. There's not a nation on earth that's developed a decent GDP without women being part of the workforce. And so there's no turning back the clock on those things. What has to happen is we have to look to the future. We have to look to a future where women are going to be 50% at least of the workforce. We're 52% of the population. And the things that happen to us as a perfectly natural progression are not things that we need to be patronised or supported or mentored through. They have to become just fundamental building blocks in how working practice occurs. You know, and we saw during the pandemic, you know, the idea of flexible working emerge, something that was always seen as a total anathema. You know, that's it. If people work flexibly, they won't do anything. They'll just sit around at home with their feet up watching telly. It's just not the case. That we know that that's not what happened. Women don't need necessarily more time off during menopause. What they need is to be able to work flexibly, to be able to talk about their symptoms, to be able to stand up and make a speech and make a joke about the fact they're going through a hot flush, not to be mortified and shamed by it. And the same goes for all those other stages in a woman's life.
A lot of people, you know, they love working. It's a huge part of their life. And if they feel like they're forced out, that's going to have a major consequence on their well-being.
The government's heading for an election next year. 16 million menopausal women is quite a large part of the voting population, you know, and women in middle age tend to be the ones who do get out there and vote. So I would suggest that the government actually step up very quickly indeed.
Mariella, thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure. Thank you.